Thank you, Mr. President. If the citizens of Iran could, or American citizens, but of Iran descent, could rise. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to do a proclamation supporting the brave citizens of Iran.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, sir. Whereas every man, woman, and child around the world has certain inalienable rights, including the right to live in a nation with a representative system form of government based on the consent of the governed, and whereas the people of Iran have been living under a corrupt and brutal dictatorship, the regime, for almost half a century, and the regime routinely arrests, imprisons, and sentences protesters to death after secret sham trials without the right to legal counsel and without due process of law. And whereas the regime controls the people of Iran and intrudes in their private lives, including freedom of dress, freedom to own property, freedom to receive an education, freedom to earn a living, and freedom to dance, sing, and listen to music. And whereas the people of Iran have been in a constant state of protest for the last 4 months, seeking human rights, freedom, and a democratic system of government, and the women of Iran are at the forefront of this movement for human rights, freedom, and democracy. And the protesters in the streets of Iran are shouting, "Women, life, freedom, down with dictators, and our enemy is here. The regime lies when it blames America." And whereas the regime responds to peaceful demands of its own people with military force, killing hundreds of protesters in the process, and the regime responds by arresting journalists who report on the protests, lawyers who attempt to represent the protesters, and doctors and nurses who provide life-saving medical care to the protesters. And whereas the regime is a known state sponsor of terror in the Middle East and beyond that is currently supplying Russia with military drones used to kill Ukrainian civilians in the unjust and unlawful Russian war on Ukraine. Therefore, the Arizona State Senate would like to show their recognition to the brave Iranian protesters seeking their inalienable human rights, freedoms, and a democratic system of government. In condemning regime's violent killings and use of mass arrests, torture, forced confession, show trials, and executions of thousands of peaceful protesters, in supporting a human rights-focused foreign policy toward Iran that ensures accountability for the regime's crimes and supports the Iranian people's quest for self-determination, and in echoing the freedom call of the people of Iran, women, life, freedom. Dated the 16th day of February 2023, signed by President of the Arizona State Senate Warren Peterson, Arizona State Senator Anthony Kern, and Arizona State Senator Raquel Tehran. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Welcome. We stand with you as you fight for freedom and your rights.